And we're just going to start by taking a nice couple inhale, exhales, just surrendering into the body. Claiming your space, claiming your body, expanding your light. And just find any kind of like natural movement. If your body feels like it needs to turn to the left or turn to the right, we're just going to allow that to happen with the inhale, exhale, just to open out the spinal column. Opening out at the root and at the hips. Just allowing any level of anxiety just to kind of phase in and phase out. And we're going to go ahead and connect the earth up underneath the feet. Allow the impulses and pulsations of emerald to violet light pulsate through the earth core up into the feet. And just allowing the emerald light just to pour in to the solar plex. Motherly love. Repairing the conscious mind. With maternal connection. Let's take a nice slow inhale. Okay, just feeling all the muscles around the back right side of the solar plexus just start to unloop and unknot as the tenderness of mother is stepping in just to rehabilitate the conscious mind. Opening out through the hips, releasing out fear from the hips and from the inner child. Anxiety release. As that maternal connection is bridging back into the child. So what we're being faced with here is trepidation. And we're just gonna, now that we've got a kind of awareness of this opening out as mother's love came in, the neutral observer becomes a bit more active here. And we're just gonna align the neutral perspectives by inhaling. And then scanning 360 degrees to any areas of tightness, any areas of interlocked fear. Decompressing out layers of trigger trauma fragments that are interwoven with like a gray metallic um, looks almost like a bronchial tube or like a set of channels presenting as the bronchial tubes. And we just want to kind of align the emerald light ray into these kind of artificial channels that exacerbate fear through the child. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and inhale, exhale. And decompress. Okay, so these like artificial kind of channels, bronchioles, are effectively relaying fear propagation, trepidation, anxiety layers through the memories of the inner child, which is being relayed through the relayed through the nadial system. So what we're looking at is the developmental years. Of growth. Allowing that third eye just to start unlocking, releasing the imagery of the ram. Okay, what is this here? It feels like it has elements of the imbalanced Capricorn. Sometimes ungrounded, or sometimes controlling, of trying to kind of create safety in the life in order to move forwards. So it goes from grounded to being controlling through the fear that's interlocked within that, and that inlays within the personality type of trying to secure safety in the developmental years. We're just going to run liquid light into that emerald. We're running violet liquid light into that space, into those channels, along with like an opalescent diamond, light crystal tones building into the lattice, into the channels, and just starting to unlock the crown there. neutralizing levels of hypervigilance, okay. It's got pain coming up through the teeth there. Create safety. And as we've got the reprinting of the mother consciousness as Emerald Ray, rewiring, reprinting back through childhood memory. Allowing the masculine counterpart just to up and let go of the fear, releasing confusion. Is not so much releasing confusion, but it's actually kind of transmuting it to be kind of updated with the support of mother connecting back in. And this is giving an opportunity to see differently within the memories. Self-doubt, distrust in self, rising up to the surface. Letting go of loss of self-power and importance. Inhale, exhale. So when we're reading these layers of developmental trauma, obviously this is all going to be personal to each person, but the core information that's coming up as mother is connecting in to the developmental years is where the child held a lack of confidence with self and being able to trust the own ability, trust own discernment and reason. And that is then triggering the release of confusion and anxiety around not being able to trust one's own ability. Okay, backside solar plexus. Starting to unknot the anxiety there to the point of nauseousness. Okay, lower back pain, left side kidney, adrenal overdrive, support with white diamond light. Inhale, exhale, recode, release and seal. Okay. Left side hip, loss of sense of self, loss of divine direction, through loss of own truth. I can't spell truth, truth and guidance. Inhale, exhale. So what we're looking through here is the development of ego as a child and the experiences that have gone through, which then further pushed the self away from divine alignment, or maybe not divine alignment, but loss of divine identity. High levels of fear, soul becoming quiet, unpacking and updating to become heard once again. Soul became quiet because ego became louder. Loss of connection to inner world, carving the pathway for it to come back online. Emerald key codes moving in, expansion of mother's love, opening out the pathway, splitting of the Red Sea, Moses and his staff. Inhale, exhale, allow yourself to feel the Red Sea parting as we are then bridging an opening point for divine love light to move in, as we're clearing the pathway of the emotional field. And we're just going to sit here and watch the two sides of the sea that have parted open, and then bridge the opalescent liquid light ray back into the path, effectively opening the channels and pouring light through to claim the space there from emotional traumas endured and accumulated as a child. Okay, What I'm hearing now are kind of like sound tones being spoken um, into the sky above the water. And then within this, we've got golden contracts and tapestries being woven. And this feels like a big um, reclamation of the memory field. We're just going to take it nice and slow as this opens out. Because as it does, high amounts of anxiety are also coming up to the surface that we just want to mitigate with the breath, claiming our space, just adding an extra layer of protection. Unlocking the root and the sacral. And just updating the understandings through the development of ego and how that shuts down the higher sensory perception when held through imbalanced characteristics or held through imbalanced, what's the word I'm looking for? Imbalanced kind of interactions with others. This kind of generates and opens out a split there. So what we're doing is just allowing the emotional field just to recalibrate, just to open out as we run the liquid light through the field, allowing it to interface with the imagery of the sea. This is then starting to phase the liquid light into the sea, which then phases back into the memories, starting to clear the lower spine. Particularly around the left side back sacral, but then also the front side heart there. Solar plexus begins to unlock, and the expansion of love moves in. Golden light expanding through the crown. clearing the concrete gargoyle structures interfaced with the crown technology. And the stone crown. Expanding the gold into the location and just blossoming from the inside out, dissolving, disintegrating out the concrete nature of the crown and also the gargoyle, which we can see this being imprinted as victim, victimizer, and the reactionary consciousness looped through the victim, which can bridge into victimizer. Golden light expands into love, bliss, consciousness, and peace begins to expand into the nature of the gargoyle. Dissolving Odedicron waveforms, looping around crown architecture. Okay, so as we just phase into that, allowing that to unravel, we've then got kind of artificial impulses that are kind of schisming as this is phasing out, let's say. That we just want to sit with, because this feels like a level of mind control that we're just tapping into now, just to kind of let go and release this, to unravel it and release it. And again, this is taking me back, it's taking me through different levels actually. So one level of this, it would come through kind of the television, and kind of dramatized reactive behaviors, looking at like Real Housewives, we're looking at kind of drama TV shows, these kinds of things that are kind of just popping up within that. And then as we phase down further, it's then taking us back into the playground at school, and reactionary impulses of the child, whether they have been bullied or whether they are acting as the bully. The reactionary behaviors that are coming up, that are setting the seeds for the attraction through the behaviors. It's attracting the frequencies to interface in, which then gradually over time and over periods would then replicate and create ripples within one's own consciousness to kind of fragment and become more reactive, or basically generate layers of ego there. So we want to kind of just do a light wash from that schism, and we want to take this all the way back to the playground. And just start to see this for what it is, which is then unknotting and unlocking reactionary behaviors. that split and fragment the consciousness, forming a negative ego behavior. That we are kind of brought up around to see that this is a normal way to react. Because that may be what our parents did, it may be what the school teachers did, it may be what school peoples around us did, which then basically trains and programs the individual to become that which is projected in the environment. And that's through the developmental stages, because there is a lack of awareness and a lack of understanding at that level, to which then evolves through into a very different perspective when it reaches about 28 years old. And this basically phases into the 7-year cycles of Saturn. Which creates the formation of ego personality, to then moving into soul personality from 21 to 28, and then 28 to 34, etc. Every 7 years. Third eye unlocking, understanding the mechanics, can see the process now with compassion. Where we can now project that understanding back into the developmental years. Back side of the heart unlocking, front side of the third eye unlocking, heavy amounts of grief moving up through the spine, up through the solar plexus and out through the front side heart. The feeling of being misunderstood is very strong here coming up. The compassionate love of Cosmic Mother stepping forward. You were never meant to be understood by others on a deep level, and this is because you deeply understand yourself to move into that space. Due to the mismatch of vibrational frequency with others growing up, plus the lack of awareness to cosmic heritage and lineage, creates the misunderstanding within oneself and the feeling of not feeling fully in place or belonging constitutes to building of the not feeling like you are home. And this is why we continue to heal and process the energy in order to allow ourselves to become one with ourselves and then one with the earth. Solar plexus unknotting and unlocking, repairing and rebuilding with new understanding. Sacral and root updating. Childhood self moving through purge some more. Disorientation. Lack of belonging. Confusion of positions. Unwillingness to search or try. Victimized mindset. Anxiety releasing as we go through the process of letting go, through the new understandings and the healing of the developmental years, recoding and updating, and just purifying the timeline. Crown chakra expanding as the weight of self-rejection moves to integrate, as it is being matched with love and acceptance. Clearing the belief systems around not being enough. Left side hip, opening out. Left side knee. Okay, we need to just bring in some extra love here into the rejection of self. What it feels like is that there's a whole pile of kind of neural pathways that are kind of congealed with black tar. Because, and that's basically carrying the signal of pain. So as it moves to integrate, the pain kind of triggers up, and that then creates a shutdown or a further rejection because the impact of the emotional charge is too big. So we're just going to start by bringing in a lovely white diamond light surrounded by lilac and violet. And as that's coming in, the many variations of the Holy Father and the Divine Father and the Cosmic Father, the masculine, just begins to recirculate around these channels, and his love expands in a state of balanced, healthy pride of his creation. So he's proud to see you, proud of you. So we're just absorbing in the proud frequency from the Holy Father. Just allowing that to connect into that channel there. Allowing the grief of the child to come up, the scattered belief systems, that are created through limited understanding and lack of communication and self-expression from the child to the earthbound parent, or lack thereof. Just creating the bonds back to the true parental structure. We're just going to sit and witness that grief aspect just to move through the channel there. And creating a bind or a bond back to the Holy Father. And to which Mother comes up as well and supports the loving essence of this bond between father and child. Which is then triggering miasm to process the pain body to move. This kind of feels like a level of fractured thoughts surrounded by like despair. Feels like despair and hopelessness. Just being triggered to move there. And as this is opening up, we've then got a golden sun light ray just expanding in, which is then interconnecting with the child. So this is the golden sun template. Connecting with the child. And then this is being taken back to the emerald sun the violet sun or amethyst sun. And then this is connecting into the golden sun together as a hierogamic patterning of mother father consciousness. Which is beyond this universe. It is going up into the God worlds there. So we'll just allow that to interface and then just see the plasmic codes just kind of reverberating back down into the golden sun, which is then reissuing down into the child. It's reissuing down into the developmental years, that timeline and all of these memories in between. Take a nice inhale there. Allow the back side of the root sacral solar just to open and move as this area of the personality is being purified and restored. Allowing that to open 360 degrees. And just interfacing the support of mother and father back into the developmental years, which we are pretty much kind of like shut off from and shut ourselves down from it. Last year, we went through a really big transit of developmental clearing about September time. So foundational and developmental. It's letting the nervous system just kind of reset there. We're just observing the fear just unlock and release as it comes into safety as we rehabilitate with the parental ergogamic union back to support the child. This allows the deeper levels of emotional fear just to kind of subside, just to pass and transit. Backside throat opening out to front. Nice big inhale, drawing in the breath of the sun down to expand through the heart and interconnect through the feet. Heart and throat breathing. to which the rest of the multidimensional body begins to breathe, breathing itself into regulation. Claiming your space and dissolving out the developmental timelines or where you can collapse it. And gradually, as you breathe with your full multidimensional body, breathe yourself back into conscious awareness. Wiggle those fingers and toes and seal forward through all levels or layers of light, through all bodies and through the breath of the I am. Inhale, exhale, recode, release, and seal. Thanks so much, guys.